Welcome to another episode of the Geek Yogurt Podcast. I am Ra.
Sam.
Knock.
No more.
Yay!
We're back to Star Wars.
It is post Star Wars, post Episode 7. Wow.
Episode 7, Part 2?
Part 2. Episode 4, Part 2.
Episode 4, Part 2.
It's like Apocalypse Now Redux. It's like that, you know? Did you ever see Apocalypse Now Redux?
No, I didn't.
It's not great.
The Force Reawakens.
The Force gets coffee.
The Force Awakens. Get it? A week. W-E-A-K.
I got it.
So we thought it was a weak movie.
So here's the thing. I think we should split it up into things we liked, and then we can talk about things we didn't like.
Sure.
And then,
So we're not going to hear from Ra during the first half.
and then at the end, no, well, things we like, things we didn't like, and then at the end we'll say our hopes for what Episode 8 will bring. I think that'll be a good way to structure it.
The next one is Rogue One, right?
Right. That's the next actual Star Wars film we'll get is Rogue One.
What
Which
hopes
is
for the next episode then?
But yeah, our hopes for what would be where Episode 7 storyline will continue.
We should throw our spoilers disclaimer in this.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
spoilers.
This will be a
More than likely, the people that are listening have already went and saw it, so I'm not really worried about it, but...
It's a courtesy guy.
Okay,
Well,
fine.
wait, actually,
Spoiler
here's a good
alert.
question. Knock, have you seen it?
Nope.
no. He has.
Well, there you go. You just disproved your own shit.
Yeah, but 99%.
I don't listen to it. I talk about it.
Yeah, there you go.
Or I sit here and listen to you guys talk
You
about
listen
it.
to it when you edit it, and
plus-
when you make it so that iTunes has to put the explicit thing on, because I swear too fucking much.
I did that. It's a blanket coverage
Did
on
everybody?
iTunes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have to put it explicit?
Yes,
On our-
because of
Was that a
our
requirement?
foul language.
Yeah, what... Dude, have you listened? No, you haven't.
I see where that would come. I think it would be it's a nice surprise when they listen to it and find out all the lovely
10 F-bombs in a row.
lovely language we have.
Turtle humpers!
Leave Mario out of this.
But you're okay. No,
I'm okay with it. I can still talk about it.
I mean, I knew
because I do enjoy even the prequels. I enjoyed the prequels to an extent. I enjoyed the original movies. I don't know as much with the expanded universe as you guys do.
Which is fine, because you don't really need to. They've kind of thrown a lot of it out the window.
Right.
Although, having seen this movie, they definitely cherry-picked a lot from it.
Yeah.
But I knew a lot of this story going into the movie just from following its production, and even knowing a lot of because I knew all the four. I'd say there's 4 major twists in this movie, or not twists, but 4 major reveals. And having even known all those ahead of time, it didn't really lessen the impact for me. See?
Right.
So I don't think it would be a concern for you either.
I saw a lot of things on social media too. So.
Oh, post release.
Yeah,
people
post-
talking about it.
Douchebags.
Douchebag. There was a guy in L.A. who was dressed in an X-wing pilot's uniform, standing outside of the theater opening day, just yelling out the big reveals to people
Did he
going.
get his ass kicked?
About 5 people jumped the guy and kicked the shit out of him.
Good.
Yeah.
Please tell me the police just let it go.
You know, I don't know what happened to it. All I saw was the video of this guy saying things, and then these 5 guys come up and just tackle him to the ground and restrain him. And there's at least one guy who gets a good kick in, and it looked like they might have kicked his head in.
Good.
There's some justice in the world.
I mean-
There was an incident where a guy was drawn on with a gun because he was revealing spoilers by a guy
Really?
next to him. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's I think it's on Blaster.
Jesus. Well, we almost had a brawl at my showing because somebody had a mother and a child, and I felt so bad for this kid because he was maybe 7, and I'm sure he's super excited to see this movie, and his mother just walks into the theater, reserved seating, and just picks a seat and just sits. And then eventually the people who actually had bought those seats came and said, "Hey, you're sitting in my seat. Can you please leave?" And the mother, and they're like two rows in front of me, so I can hear this whole thing. And she just ignores them. And she's like, "Excuse me, ma'am, you're sitting in my seat. See, we have tickets right here. Can you please move?" And she was like, "Well, this is where the usher brought us." Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, whether that's true or not,
Which it wasn't.
which it wasn't, yeah. These are my seats. I bought them. Get the fuck out. And that's when, and the one mother was like, I've asked you 3 times now to move. Do you want me to get the usher? And she's like, well, you can go ahead and get the usher. And now it's getting heated. These two are yelling at each other. And this poor kid's just sitting here like, what the fuck is going on?
Now, was the kid with the people that legitimately had the seat?
No, the kid was with the mother. Yeah. And so they got heated, and the mother was like, get the fuck out of my seats!
And you said this was happening during
the trailers are rolling. The
okay.
trailers are rolling, and they're fighting, and everybody else is like, hey, this is great, but can we, wrap this up? Because the movie's about to start.
Yeah.
So you get the fuck out of our seats, and you just sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
But it's just like...
Which I'm sure she did as soon as the person moved.
Yeah, she eventually left, and then, the kid had to get up, and they were looking around, and they set their seats. It's just, I felt so bad for that kid, because not only, I don't even know if they found a seat, or if they just ended up leaving.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure if she had bought a ticket, or if she just walked into the theater. I don't
Now,
know.
actually, on the subject of kids in theaters.
Yeah.
Normally, especially a PG-13 and up rated movie,
Yeah.
I would be pissed about kids in theaters just because they can ruin an experience.
Right.
Depending on the movie. Like, you know what? Like Winter Soldier, which actually I was kind of shocked at how good. There was a young kid just across the aisle from me doing great. Kid loved it.
That's good.
But I mean, kids can be noisy in a theater. Let's be
true.
honest. And that, in some cases, in many cases, can ruin a movie. Honestly, the theater, when I saw it, there were kids in there. Yes, they talked every now and then. You know what? It helped the movie.
Well, yeah.
Because there was this one kid. Swear to God, every fucking major character. Daddy, is that Luke Skywalker?
Oh, God.
Is that Luke Skywalker? But it didn't get annoyed. Like, I figured it was going to. Cause the first time I'm like, all right. Second time, oh, this is going to get annoying.
Yeah.
But you know what? Because the kid
And it
wasn't
just
shouting.
it just kind of became an ongoing gag.
Yeah, it was a gag all to the theater. And actually, a great thing I saw. This mother got up with real little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing 5. And I think she was taking him to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he just stops on one of the stops, and I'm in the aisle. He actually stopped right by my chair. And just turns around, and just stares at the screen, and you could see it on his face.
Yeah.
Just how enraptured with Star Wars he was. That is not an excitement I've seen.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think the story issues I have aside, this movie has reinvigorated Star Wars, and that's really what it needed to do, especially for kids. When I walked out of my theater and just the excitement that the little kids had, that just filled me with joy, because I was like, yes, it worked,
Yeah.
This is what you want it to do.
A whole new generation that wants to grow up to be X-Wing pilots.
Yeah, right. And I will say,
maybe even stormtroopers.
having a theater experience where people are enamored with it really does help the experience.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the last movie I was at where people were literally cheering during the movie.
Did it get out of hand for you?
Not too much, but there were certain moments, like when Han and Chewie first show up.
Yeah, you expect people to clap.
And people were clapping in your hair, woo, woo, yeah, stuff like that during it.
Yeah.
And
As you both know, I had a completely different experience.
well, that's why I was kind of getting to this, is because I know you said in a non-joking way, and not to be pissy to your fellow peers here, but that the only clap was during the trailer.
Right.
That is a little shocking.
Right.
And
there was a kid behind me dressed as a Jedi. He must have been 15 or 16.
Yeah. And he just nothing.
Quiet.
Silent.
Even at the end.
Now was it a silent of I'm just blown away silent, or a silent of I don't know what's happening?
I think it was a silent where it wasn't like they were all excited and then tense and they were holding their breath.
Yeah.
It was a silence as if they were I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to say relieved it was over, but it was kind of like that kind of feeling. Where it's
I already get now.
the movie's done. Now I get to go.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
because we saw. I know. I bring that up because a friend of mine who saw it said that his showing got way too out of hand, where people were cheering and clapping almost the entire movie, where you couldn't even hear the dialogue.
Yeah.
And that would have bothered me. I'm glad
Yeah.
that my theater was just enough where people, okay, Han and Chewie showed up, oh yeah, woo, and then they died down just so we could hear.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad that I had that type of experience and not one where it was the opposite, where nobody did anything.
Right.
Because that just drains you too.
Yeah.
It does. It affects you by proxy. Or the opposite, where you couldn't hear shit.
Right.
Because we went to see Fury Road over the summer, and I saw that 3 times. And the first time it was great, people were into it. The second time I saw it, people were just like, and I was excited because I wanted to see it with people who hadn't seen it before. And I was expecting them to be super rowdy, and they just weren't. And it kind of bummed me out. It bummed me out for even watching the movie.
Right.
Like, how are you guys not like super excited about this? Do you see what's happening on screen?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with how some of those scenes were presented, especially were the ones where people I thought would clap a lot, like the Han Chewie reveal. But do we want to start with the things that we liked?
Yeah.
let's
We'll
do
start
that.
with things that. See, I'm in this weird position where 70% of this movie I fucking love. And it works so well for me, and it works so well. And I think what it really boils down to is how good the characters are. And that was one of my main conditions with this movie, because I knew ahead of time how much of an echo it was going to be of A New Hope, with a dash of Empire and Jedi in there. But really, what this movie had to do for me is make me fall in love with new Star Wars characters and be excited, and to be excited where they're going to go next.
So
And it worked 100% for me. And I can't decide which of the new characters I like more. I want to say, because I gotta say, Kylo Ren is one of the coolest things that's happened to Star Wars in a very, very long time. For being a complex, it's hard to call him a villain because he's so conflicted, and to have.
I don't know. I still call him a villain.
To have a character, well, he's more of an antagonist rather than a villain.
I don't know. Once you cross a certain threshold,
Yeah. Well,
cough, patricide, cough.
Well, that's where. But that's at the back. That's the last part of the movie. So,
Right.
like for 90% of this movie, I mean, just to have a character that is, intrinsically dark side, but has this seduction of the light in him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really cool concept, and a character that we haven't seen, at least in the filmic canon, that we haven't seen on screen before. I mean, all these characters had that dynamic to them that I just really responded well to. Now, that's not to say they had arcs, because I don't think a lot of them had arcs other than maybe Finn.
Finn definitely had an arc.
Yeah. I mean, Rey's arc is
Maybe
incomplete
Rey.
because her arc is going to be the 3 movies.
Yeah.
halfway through, it was revealed that she was going to go on one.
We'll say it again?
Halfway through, it was revealed she was actually going to go on one.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the movie's half over, you can't really do much.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and Finn's the one who literally went through different phases during this movie and came out a completely different character.
Although it's not a complete arc, Kylo also began his arc.
He began his arc.
You could tell because he's going through the darker part of the arc right now.
Yeah.
But
And that was one of the things, like him killing Han is like, that's really kind of washing over
the look on Harrison
dark.
Ford's face.
I love that there was that little moment where Han had touched his face.
Yeah.
I hope that kind of haunts him.
Yeah.
I hope that pops back up with his inner turmoil.
I don't know. That was one of the. I think that was the best moment of the movie for me.
The Han Ben Solo moment.
Yeah, because I think at that point, in my mind anyway, I thought it could totally go either way.
Mhm.
Not knowing the story, like you could turn Ben back,
Yeah.
they go to leave, and then Han dies from some crazy accident or something like that he couldn't prevent because of his knowledge of the Force, and that pushes him back to be the villain again.
That pushes Kylo back to there.
Yeah, I thought at that moment
You could
have totally went either way. For me, it was convincing enough, even though I know what was going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. It
was convincing enough for me that could have happened as a
Yeah.
possibility.
That's what like a lot of people are acting like Han's death is a huge reveal, but it's kind of telegraphed a mile away that he's going to bite it. If nothing else, because Harrison wanted Han Solo dead back in '83.
Well,
Yeah.
Also, like 10 minutes after revealing, I'm looking for a new pilot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
come
it's
on.
like even before he meets on the catwalk. First of all, when Kylo starts walking on the catwalk, you're like, okay, nothing good ever.
Yeah.
Good happens on a catwalk in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
But
Because as a
it's-
trope, everybody dies or falls or
Also,
has
off
some
the,
kind of
off the
yeah.
catwalk. But even before
On the
that, it's,
catwalk?
do your little dance
They take a little turn
on the catwalk.
on the catwalk.
Um,
Sorry.
that's pretty funny. But yeah, it's starting to telegraph before that because you can feel that. Okay, here's the moment where Han Solo pulls to Ben Kenobi and sacrifices so the other people
Yeah.
could finish the mission.
Now I gotta say one thing. I loved so much this movie,
Yeah.
but I gotta say if there's one thing that really struck me, I have to say is my favorite part. That my favorite thing they did in this movie,
Yeah.
the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like just in general, I've always attested stormtroopers are fucking badasses.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Okay.
know we've had the discussion.
I think I believe it was I think last issue I might have gone last podcast I think I might have gone through the whole thing of why they're actually badasses. But we fully get to see them be badasses on the screen.
Yeah. The whole opening gambit
Yeah.
with them in the village.
It was great.
Huh.
And getting to see different types of stormtrooper units, like there was a flame unit.
Yeah.
Or the dude with the power maul.
I like
know
that.
I don't know the real name for it, so yeah, I'm just gonna use the 40K term.
Yeah.
That's a fucking power maul.
I call him melee trooper. I
Yeah.
just wish that they had a slightly different look to the melee trooper. Like maybe just some different accents
Well,
on
I
the
think he
suit.
was more of like a sergeant of a squad.
Yeah.
I think he was more higher ranking, which is why we also didn't see too many more with those.
Yeah.
But even more so than just that with the stormtroopers, I got a sense of they're not. I got more than they're just robots.
Yeah.
In the old movies, they were
Disguise.
exactly. But I mean, honestly, one thing that I do have to say is kind of sad is if you look at the battle droids from the prequels and you
Yeah.
look at the stormtroopers from the original, the battle droids have more personality.
It's true.
Like
It's true.
you'll get a comment here or there in the original trilogy from the stormtroopers, but
Yeah.
nothing great.
I love the scene when Kylo's like throwing one of his
Yeah.
scary temper tantrums, and the two troopers are like they're walking, and then they see shit
The
going
one
on.
just
they're
like puts his hand out to
"Whoa,
stop and do like, no,
let's
wait.
go back the other way.
About face.
Yeah.
The other one, and Daniel Craig, by
Yeah.
the way, I found out was who was playing that stormtrooper, who when Rey finally gets her Jedi mind trick working,
Yeah.
and like his whole thing, like first with the "What did you say to me?" You will loosen You will loosen my restraints and leave the door open. Yeah, I'm gonna tighten your restraints now.
I'll tighten your restraints, that's what I'll do.
and then she actually gets it working. It's like I will loosen your restraints and leave the door open. He just starts walking away, and you'll drop your weapon. And I'll drop my weapon. Like he had just enough edge in his voice where it's like, fucking bitch, I'm so done with this shit.
Yeah, when he started speaking, I was like, boy, that sounds a
Yeah.
lot like Daniel fucking Craig.
I mean, another thing with the stormtroopers I love, we canon now. Finally, it was in the expanded universe,
Yeah.
but now canon female stormtroopers.
Mhm.
The best part of that, the fucking armor looks the exact same as the male troopers.
Yeah.
They didn't do boob armor or
Yeah,
any
right,
bullshit
right.
like that.
They didn't need it.
They kept it. They didn't need it because there's no reason to have it.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, did anyone who hadn't like looked further into it? Did anyone know Phasma was a woman beforehand?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch most of the trailer, so I don't know. She may have spoken.
right. I just
but-
know because when they first started doing pictures of Phasma,
Like before she speaks.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, like the official photos when they started dropping them, they kind of gave hints that it was a girl.
Okay.
But if you didn't follow those, yeah.
But
you would
yeah,
have
that's the
no
thing. Like,
idea.
I had no idea,
Yeah.
and she talked. I'm like,
You're
oh
like,
shit.
Oh shit, that's a shit.
And
Cool.
now she immediately became more badass.
Here's a question from a non-Star Wars fan. I got the impression that whole garrison with all of them was a different type of like battalion or whatever. That's not what the standard First Order army is.
You
That
mean
they were
that-
experimental. Like this was his
Now,
reconditioned troops.
Was that more?
the opening village scene.
No, just the
like,
whole.
under General Hux.
Yeah.
All his guys were experimental.
Now,
Like, so that means they could have different things.
Now, I'm
like
curious.
melee troopers.
Now, I
and
think-
was that
female
brought on?
stormtroopers.
Was that brought on by Kylo's comment about I should have just gone with
Clones.
with clones instead?
It was in that part somewhere.
What?
In there.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that? What gave you? Because I can see where you're coming from. I don't think it is. I think that basically the First Order is split between the reconditioned stormtroopers and hey, we have
and
units
these new
of clones
babies that they've been stealing.
Right.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
the babies, the the conditioned troopers, and all that, and then the clones.
Yeah.
Which, although then again, we also don't know if clones are even still technically a thing. That could have just been Kylo being a total.
Yeah, that
douche.
was total. And this is one of the things I loved. Whereas like Vader and Tarkin were clearly on the same page, with Kylo and Hux, where they're clearly working in the same motion, but they totally have separate ideologies of how to approach it, and they kind of bickered like siblings. That was a really cool.
To
dynamic.
Kylo's credit, unlike his grandfather,
Yeah.
he did not kill a single one of his own men.
Yeah, it's true.
Not a single one. Like, he threatened, but
Yeah.
he never actually even injured.
I may have missed this while I ran out.
Yeah.
We find out who Kylo is and who Ren belongs to.
Well, you find out. Well, Kylo and Ren are the
Ray.
same person.
Yeah,
Ray.
Kylo.
Ray
Ray.
is the chick.
Ray,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you find out Kylo's heritage a lot earlier on than I thought. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to hold off that reveal for the. It's like a half hour in, and they're straight up saying that he's Han and Leia's kid.
Yeah.
That's like right up front.
Okay, so Kylo was Han and Leia's.
Yes,
So-
his name was Ben Solo, and he trained with Luke. Luke tried to start a new Jedi Order with this small group in the Noctis.
And he went all fucking
Told me
Anakin
about this
Skywalker
before.
Order 66 on him.
Yeah, and so Kylo, Ben Solo at this time, betrayed them, and it's unclear if he started the Knights of Ren or if it was something that existed before.
I think
and
Snoke
he just
did.
became master because Snoke makes that mention of he's the master of the Knights of Ren. So
Yeah.
it's
But he also says his training isn't complete
his
yet.
training's not complete, so that was left a little kind of vague. But yeah, so basically he betrayed Luke and his order, slaughtered the people, total Anakin. That's why when I left the theater, I said to my friend, I was like, man, Kylo is totally Anakin in the prequels, but done right.
Yeah.
Like, this is what Anakin should have been in the prequels.
Yeah.
An emotional wreck, but still a really
Dude,
complex character.
When he's saying there talking to the busted mask of Darth
Yeah.
Vader,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, which also brings up, I do have a question. I do have a question. First off, where the fuck did that busted mask come from? Because I'm 90% certain that's supposed to be the one that got taken off him in Return of the Jedi
Yeah.
and left on the Death Star.
No. It
No,
went
no,
back.
that-
It went back with him because he
He
burned.
burned
it
Vader's
on the
body.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
so
in theory,
and that's
it could be
also
melted.
why it looked like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Side note, you know how you can get like on your TV, you can have like a Yule log burning.
Yeah.
For, you can now get a like 7-hour loop of Vader burning for your Yuletide holiday. It's pretty great. Yeah. it's
Wait,
pretty good.
where do I go for that?
I
I think I can talk my parents into doing this
you
for the
should. You
background.
should just
of,
Google it. Yeah, I'm not
Christmas.
sure where you can get it, but
But,
I was
um,
like, that's funny. But yeah, well,
But that also leads me to the other object that that became a huge question for me. Not that I mind it showed up. I fucking loved that showed up, and not that I think it's that. Oh God, how could this happen? Anakin's lightsaber. Last time we saw this thing, it and Luke's right hand were falling down into the ventilation shaft on Cloud City.
Yeah.
Now, it may not have fallen onto one of the garbage portals like Luke did. So it may have just wound up there and somebody else picked
something
it
else
up.
funny. Well, even the Yoda proxy there, Maz.
Yeah.
She's even like, oh well, that's a story for another time.
Yeah, like, and I'm half hoping we find out, but at the same time, I'd actually be okay leaving that as a mystery. I love Maz, by the way. Lupita, I can never pronounce her last
Nyong'o?
name.
Yeah.
Nyong'o, I am so sorry I can never pronounce it, but phenomenal job. Holy shit, phenomenal.
I know in the original script, the lightsaber was actually the MacGuffin. It was the lightsaber that Poe Dameron gets on the planet Jakku, and not a like a map fragment.
Huh.
And that's what kind of propels the whole story. But somewhere along the line, they decided to drop that and change it to a map.
I think it was for the better.
Well, this whole movie was in flux even when they were filming. They didn't even have a finished script. So lots of, and I think when Harrison got injured, and they took that like 3-week break, I think a lot of it changed from the script that I saw. Because Maz had a huge role to play too later. She actually goes back with them to the Resistance base, and they cut all that out. there was a huge battle, a chase scene between Finn, Rey, and snowtroopers that they cut out. Yeah.
Yeah, because we did see a quick flash of the new look of the snowtroopers.
Yeah.
But which they look awesome. I do like the new designs.
Yeah, they're sleek. I like it.
How awesome was that totally Third Reich Hitler speech moment? With
yeah.
the shots of like, I got chills on it. Like, it reminded me a lot of the shot of the clone trooper standing
at
rank.
the end of Attack.
Except
Or
better.
Wait, is that the end of?
It was no. It was
It's at the end of episode 1, right?
2.
No, it is 2. It is 2.
It
Where
is
they're
2.
all standing there. And
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And like
okay.
you have the ships in the background.
Ships and they're all
Like
taking off.
this shot was better because of the stylistic choices, but that's also because I'm a huge history buff and like World War II, love
like
all that
the-
stuff.
I know,
So having like that, having the villains decked out in blatantly like Nazi
Yeah.
gear and shit.
That was cool. That was a rousing speech. I know a friend of mine thought it was a little over the top, but I think it worked to Hudson's kind of.
But that's actually what they needed.
That's what kind of now that leads me back to my original thing about not knowing if this was some kind of specialized unit.
Yeah.
That I would have preferred if it was some kind of specialized unit. Like there were like a zealotous arm of the First Order, because then that would make them more interesting.
Well, see, I think
Because of that.
Well, I think they have that in that the First Order in its whole is a zealotous branch or a zealotous phoenix from the Empire's ashes.
Well, actually, that just gave me an interesting idea, because I will say the one thing that my one biggest question that I was left with after the movie was, why are the Resistance and the Republic separate entities?
Well, this is one of the issues with the film, and I know a lot of people that have problems with it, and it's a problem with this new Lucasfilm story group. The political landscape is completely ignored in this movie. So if you had not read any of the new canon books leading to this, which explained that landscape, it was going to be completely confusing, which it was.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, a lot of the
So I should
shared
pick up the comics or novels?
both, really.
Okay.
And this is one of the issues. Is like
Not that I mind picking more stuff up
well,
to
no,
read.
exactly. A lot of these tie-in things with movies, they tend not to be something that you're forced to read to understand. So you
Yeah.
can just see the movie. But with this, it's almost like you're forced to read this extra stuff because they're leaving out huge chunks of information like
Right.
this.
And that's a bad part of the movie.
Well, this is what's really happening. Where after the Battle of Endor, there was still a lot of fighting for a year until the Empire, the remnants of the Empire, wanted to ambush the New Republic, which got formed out of the rebellion in the above the planet of Jakku. There was this huge battle, which is why there's all this graveyard shit on Jakku.
Which looked awesome.
Yeah, it did.
The toppled
And,
over AT-AT.
Yeah, and I love that she had like her little makeshift home in there. That was pretty great.
Like the rebel pilot hat.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, so they pushed out the remnants of the Empire to go on the Outer Rim, and that's where then they, for the next 20 years, have started to reform as the First Order. The New Republic started a new Senate and everything, but they didn't want to touch the growing threat of the First Order. And Leia was like, if you guys don't nip this in the bud, you're gonna have the fucking Empire 2.0 here in no time. And they just didn't want anything to do with it.
They didn't want another war.
Right. So they're like, well, they're just going to stay on the Outer Rim because that's what our treaty says. And Leia knew better because fucking war never changes. War always rears its ugly head in the same way over
Thank
centuries.
you, Solid Snake.
Yeah, and also Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
So she started this splinter group called the Resistance.
Okay.
And that she kind of works in tandem with the New Republic, but the New Republic denounced them publicly.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Well, yeah, because they're now fucking dust, and the First Order is now the most powerful military in the galaxy at this point.
That's okay, we got the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
And X-Wings.
And the X-Wings, so you're all good.
Is Lando coming back?
See, that's one of the problems that I have with the film, because you guys joke about that, but that's how they handled the first two galaxy-threatening issues.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's part of my problem with the film. So it's like, now that will solve the problem again.
Yeah, right. Well, this is... Now, to switch over... to what I didn't like, I will say, as much as I think...
Well, I wasn't done with what I liked.
Oh, okay. Well, that was it, though, right? It was just that one thing?
Oh, no.
I will say, I just remembered in my head, my theater lost it when first of all, that whole scene with Finn, BB-8, and Rey, where
Oh my God,
Finn is
yeah.
trying to get BB-8 to say,
Yeah.
like, dude, just tell me where this base is because I'm trying to impress her.
Right.
And like he throws him the thumbs up, and BB-8 throws the blowtorch thumbs up.
Right.
Theater fucking lost.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
ours did too.
Yeah, that was a great part.
So who's
Also,
Rey?
Rey's heritage is not ever known. It's left
Yeah.
it's left as a very vague thing. There's small hints, but it really could go either way.
Okay. Which, by the way, real quick, as our division line before we do the things we didn't like. Although, wait. Before we do the division line,
Yeah.
you said you had something else you want to talk about that you liked?
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What
I
did
mean,
you
like
like?
I think
keep
everything
interrupting.
every time that Boyega was on the screen, I thought was
Electric.
awesome.
I could not
Whoever
wait
he was
for-
interacting with.
Yeah.
Wait,
it was
he
good.
played...
He's
Finn.
Finn, yeah.
Finn.
He was
Finn.
just, I couldn't take my eyes off
Right.
of him, and I was just waiting for him to come back on screen because,
Right.
like you said, every interaction with him.
Mhm.
And can we please get Finn and Poe together again in Episode 8 because they are wonderful together.
Right. And even the parts that I saw in some of the trailers where it was obviously some kind of throwback to, when they're fighting the Titan. Yeah, exactly that. That wasn't even a problem in the context of the whole scene.
Yeah, because it
I
works
was
so
okay
quickly. Yeah.
because it was so quick and they seemed to play off each other.
It wasn't
very well.
on the nose like
Right.
like some things were.
Right. So I think he was really good.
Yeah.
We had already talked about Kylo,
Yeah.
so I think he was really good too. I mean, again, a really good villain.
Yeah, just
You know?
written so well. I've never seen.
And a suffering villain, which is my favorite kind.
Yes, I want somebody who struggles.
Dude,
and not
you
just
like a
struggles-
suffering everything.
That's true.
The hero has to suffer, the villain has to suffer, the puppy has to suffer.
That's true, but it was nice to have someone that wasn't so, I don't know, I guess stoic.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that he's not. Well, when I first went into this movie, I thought that he was going to be just a Vader fanboy.
Yeah.
But he's totally not.
No.
Right.
He's totally this legacy character
Mhm.
that's really struggling with where he should be in the galaxy.
Right.
He clearly wants his grandfather to wash away this pain, and that
Right.
pain is, God damn it, I don't want to be drawn to the light, but something keeps pulling
Well,
me there.
Right.
There's also a really cool thing that I noticed they did with it. Great choice, literary. I know literary isn't exactly the way to say it, but
Mhm.
where next time you see it, pay attention to how he acts with the helmet on and the helmet off.
That's when he has that helmet on, he's so
He's
cocksure.
fucking Vader.
Yeah.
Like he's Vader 3.0 by that point.
Yeah.
When that helmet is off, he is the emotional wreck. He is
The wreck.
the raging teenager who hates his parents, who hates his role in life, who hates everything, and just wants some direction, wants to know where to go.
I love when he's got his helmet off and he's talking to Snoke, and he's like complaining about what's going on, and then Hux walks in and he totally clamps up. He's like, oh shit, it just the body language of that actor too. Adam Driver,
Yeah,
is
really
really
good.
good. Yeah,
Really good. He was definitely another shining point in the film for me.
yeah. I like to see where he goes.
And tied to him, the crossguard lightsaber actually worked for me.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And his movements were really cool. That
Yeah.
ending lightsaber battle.
Mhm.
Just the mix of really good action and choreography with the emotion of
Right.
who's battling, that may be one of my favorite, if not my favorite battle right now.
Can we give it to
Right.
Finn for last scene with no, so far as we know, no force sensitivity
Yeah.
and no fucking lightsaber training?
Yeah.
Defining line falling in.
Yeah.
Before
yeah.
we get there,
No,
it
no,
was
I know.
It was
I
a
have issues.
relief to not see kung fu lightsaber battles.
Yeah,
that was
the
really
the
good.
greatest, the closest thing they came to was that Kylo spin, which I like to call it,
Uh-huh.
and that was the closest thing we got
But,
to.
I mean,
and it totally
Fuck,
worked.
Vader and Luke did shit like that too.
I like the Kylo spin. Yeah.
Well, not to the extent of like.
Oh, yeah.
The prequels. I mean,
Oh, no.
Like
No.
the
that's what I
the
mean.
Yoda Dooku fight.
well, there's that, and like, there's like a couple of scenes where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are fighting Darth Maul, and they literally stop their moves and pose. like a kung fu move
Yeah.
type pose. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're in the middle of a fucking lightsaber battle.
That was not the
Anybody
time.
with their head in the game, you stop like that and your guard is down, you're gonna get chopped in half. So that was just purely for cinematic value.
Yeah.
I like his sort of like, I don't know. It would almost look like medieval style fighting style
Fighting,
to
yeah.
go with the sword.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where it was obviously there was technique involved, but there was nothing flashy.
I hope they continue
Nothing-
with that medieval
yeah.
stuff, and it makes sense too with this whole Knights of
Exactly.
Ren sort of.
That part I think they really thought out well.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
that was
what that's where JJ really succeeds is creating these wonderful characters that fit so well and naturally into the environment. But JJ's all about. This is one of my issues. Is JJ's all about getting to the cool stuff, and he's not concerned with telling the story of the hard work it takes to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, sorry. We said we were going to talk about. Hope
Was there anything
Slayer.
else that you liked that like really stuck out to you that you really?
Nah, off the top of my head, no.
Okay, so this middle ground here. Prediction of who Rey is.
Well, going into it, I was pretty sure that she was going to be. I knew we weren't going to get a definite answer of her heritage.
Yeah.
But I was pretty much sure she was going to be the twin sister of Ren.
That's my theory.
But
by the way.
with the
Same
hints of the lightsaber and it calling to Anakin, calling to Luke, and now it's calling to you, and just the way that she kind of left things at the end with Luke,
I think a cousin.
Well, yeah, it could be Luke's daughter. The way they're
That's
kind
the-
of
that's the other
positioning
thing.
it. Yeah.
That
Now
could
my
be-
friend had a
that'd be cool.
completely and they've left it enough where they could go either way in the next episode.
Right.
She's Yoda's daughter.
My friend thinks she's Kenobi's daughter, but I don't think that fits because it just doesn't make any sense.
It
doesn't make any sense
age-wise.
No
Yeah.
fucking way.
It doesn't make any sense age-wise. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you need to go back and watch those because there's no
Yeah.
fucking way.
Yeah.
And that's making sense age-wise.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
He had it frozen.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I really hope that it's Luke's daughter, but I think they're totally gonna go with
Twin sisters.
Twin sister,
Because that's what it was in the extent the legends now.
and it'll be throwback again where it's family on family.
Yeah,
that's
the
gonna solve
twinning.
that's gonna solve the conflict.
Yeah.
I mean,
Twincest.
that's what the way I think it's gonna go, just
Yeah.
because of all the other things they did.
Did
You'd
Luke,
prefer it to be Luke's daughter.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
I think there's a lot
did
more.
Luke show up at all in this one or no?
Yes, he's in for 2 seconds during a flashback, and then approximately 60 seconds at the end.
One of the
Yay.
scenes I hated the most.
But he acted the fuck out of it.
You didn't like the end
I
reveal?
fucking hated that scene.
The end-
I hated it.
The end reveal I don't
I
like.
groaned.
I liked it.
The end reveal I didn't like because I just feel that JJ held the cameras too long.
That's exactly it.
There's-
And then it looks so.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It looks so like USA Network.
Yeah, they needed-
with the flying around and the wind blowing, her standing there holding the thing. It's like, come on, man.
Was he on Dagobah?
No, he's
No.
on this unknown, uncharted island. He's out. The last we knew is that, the last anybody in the world knew is he set out to look for the first Jedi temple, and that's the last they ever heard of him.
Okay.
So it's kind of purported that this island that he's on is maybe one of the first
Are they
Jedi
shooting consecutively?
Episode 8 starts filming January 25th.
Okay, because there was one article that I read that Mark Hamill was almost injured or was injured.
Yeah,
He hurt his leg.
they did some preliminary filming at that same island place back in October of this year. But their full on principal photography doesn't happen until January. But yeah, they did some filming. He almost fell off the island, off the cliff.
When you said the
Some
first
tourists
Jedi temple,
saved
that clicked in my head because they were at some
Yeah.
castle in Ireland.
He almost
or
fell off the
something.
cliff, and some tourist grabbed him
Yeah.
before he did because he was
That-
slipping. And they were
Awesome on that tourist because I don't want to lose the trickster.
Yeah, right.
I'm not gonna lie here. Like they can write off Luke. Fuck, after watching Han die, they can write off Luke.
Yeah,
Fine,
yeah.
make Leia the main mentor. Because God knows Carrie
They know
Fisher is still
nothing
badass.
about fucking
Yeah.
the Force.
What?
She knows nothing about the Force.
You're insane, right?
Has she been trained?
She's not, but she.
Has she not been trained?
Apparently, that doesn't matter anymore in this universe.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't think she needs to be trained because I think Leia's the type of person who would choose, even though she is Force sensitive, and I'm glad they brought that back up because
Yeah.
she totally feels when Han dies.
Oh, yeah.
But I think she's the type of person who would reject the Jedi way. 'Cause
Oh.
she would feel like herself and her abilities are more suited to being a Jedi. Or to being a general and helping the Resistance.
I agree with that, but personally, I feel like Luke would have given her some level of training.
Mhm.
It's that kind of like Marvel Civil War moment of I don't want you just running around with this when you could have it to help you.
Right.
You could have it under control. Like, I don't want this accidentally going off. And,
I agree. There could be some like defensive stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he would teach her like how to throw that stone.
Mhm.
So to distract people, or maybe to like
Yeah.
cloud someone's mind so they can get
Or
by.
hell, just
But
to
there's
help
no
with
way
aim.
She's gonna do like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, really, like,
Right,
yeah,
like
she was a
lightsaber
great
power.
shot beforehand, but imagine a force,
Yeah.
but imagine a force-assisted shot.
Yeah.
For all we know, Princess Leia could be the best fucking sniper in the Resistance because of that.
It's true. It's true.
All right,
That's one hell of a pilot.
okay.
Yeah.
So now the dark side of this podcast. What didn't you like?
How does Rey know what a Jedi mind trick is? There's no way she would like have
Legends?
any knowledge of, even if she had heard of Luke and the myth of and the rebellion's battles. There's no way being on that backwater she would like, unless this just popped into my head. Unless when she broke into Ren's mind in that little,
Yeah,
she kind of got some knowledge.
she
from
gleaned some
from
info
that.
and
Oh
But
god.
that's kind of a no. That's a no prize answer. I'll agree. It's a
Yeah,
no prize
yeah.
answer.
That's like an anything is possible because whatever answer.
And so is R2
I mean-
just
I mean-
waking up at the last moment.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, this is. I'm gonna preface this by saying like, there are lots of problems I have with this film that really colored it, and it's these type of things where I think JJ was so excited to make this movie, people just said, "Yeah, let's just do it," and didn't question any of his ideas or thoughts in terms of how to execute this stuff.
Yeah.
And what they got away with was, if you're a fan of the film, you're going to do the hand wave explanation type thing for it. But if you're at all interested in learning more or have at least a mind that questioned what's happened, you're going to find all kinds of shit wrong with it.
Well, that's like I said in the beginning of this. Like 70%, I am absolutely in love with this movie, and then there's this 30% that kind of nags at me, and it all stems from JJ, because he has this way of pacing. He's an incredibly visual storyteller, and he has a way of pacing his films where it just takes you away, and you get so enraptured with it, and you love it. But the moment you start kind of thinking about it, the lapse in logic start to show.
Right.
Like, and some of it's nitpicking, and some of it's fundamental story issues.
Right.
Like having
I have a list.
you do.
I have a list of stuff.
like a physical list
A
right now.
physical list.
He has a physical
A
list.
physical list
Yeah.
of stuff, and I
He
have
wrote
a
this
list.
shit down.
There's just too many conveniences.
That's what it is.
Conveniences.
I
And
can-
JJ's all about that, because he's not, like I said earlier, he's not about showing the
Right.
struggle it takes to get. He just wants somebody to be
As
somewhat-
excited about
somewhat
whatever he's doing.
useless, and then immediately helpful.
Anybody who watches this film can tell he loves Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Right off the bat that he loves it. But I think that inherently also becomes part of the problem, because I think he's just looking for other people to love it like him.
Well, that's where the issue of, is this fanfic almost?
Right.
But it's crossing the line where the Uber fan, is writing the canon.
True, but I mean, that happens all the time in comics.
In comics, exactly.
Yeah.
There's always this reinterpretation from the fan of what came.
I mean,
before.
hell, because of stuff like that, that's how we got the Winter Soldier as a character.
Right.
Because Uber Bucky Barnes, a classic Captain America fan, Ed Brubaker,
wanted him back.
eventually became a writer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and that's not to dismiss anything. Like,
No.
yeah, there were some issues. Now, I will say, a lot of things I have taken with a grain of salt after I recently went back and rewatched the original theatrical
Yeah.
versions of the
OT.
original trilogy,
Yeah.
and there are problems.
Oh yeah.
I mean, nostalgia made me. I'm sure a lot of people forget about some of the problems, but there are problems.
There are.
Now they're not enough to break the movies for me and all that, but it was enough to get me thinking about some of the stuff with this movie.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, is it really any worse than what we've seen?
Well, there's another issue, and I know Rex is going to agree with me. It's not movie breaking for me, but it echoes A New Hope well enough, but at the same time, it almost does it too well.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll
You
agree.
know, where we could have used something a little new. Did we really need another planet destroyer? I mean,
It's a system destroyer.
you system destroyer.
I'm just being devil's advocate
I
right
know,
now.
yeah,
and I'm
totally,
not.
yeah.
I'm just.
Well, I just think maybe a better third act, because that third act doesn't really match up. It almost feels like the third act was like, well, we need something a little bit familiar. So let's do another
Right.
because Finn doesn't really even bring up that there's a Starkiller base until they blow up the planet, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way,
that's
there's-
a great point
there's
right
this-
there.
there's- I forgot about that thing."
The thing that drains suns.
Which
I was a janitor.
if you're pulling, I know it's sci fantasy, but if you're pulling the energy from the sun into your planet's core, your planet will implode. That's again, it's science fantasy, so
It's science fantasy, so they have some super convenientium,
yeah, right.
and
right.
that powers the thing that lets it stop that from happening. As far as Finn not bringing it up,
I mean, he does say earlier that like you have not seen what I've seen, and there's some dangerous shit.
Even beyond that, it's literally up until Rey gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care about giving the Resistance information.
Mhm.
He's just trying to get away.
Well, he's just trying to get away.
And then when Rey gets kidnapped, I think his mind is too clouded.
That's
It's
when
too
he
clouded
starts to
of
care.
holy shit, Rey got kidnapped, and I really want to bang.
But
her.
in that vein, if you know that this huge system-killing gun is like around
The base, yeah.
you want to be able to know that. Oh, we'll just take you to the next planet. No, you can't take me to the next planet. You want to share that information because they're gonna be like, why? There's like what, and then it's like because it could be destroyed by this massive gun they have. That's when it comes out.
I love the moment when
You're not blindly running away because you never know how far you're gonna be able to get unless you tell someone.
Unless you tell somebody.
Yeah, but I mean that I would also say it comes down a lot to how Finn thinks.
Mhm.
Because yes, like definitely, if that was you running away, yes, if that was probably Sam, if that was you running away, you'd probably do the same.
Probably.
There's a good
Maybe.
chance I might just be like, yeah, I gotta get the fuck out.
No, I'm done.
Like
Outta here.
honestly, I might not even tell anybody about it for fear of if word got out that I had mentioned it, that it would be used.
Right. Well,
Immediate,
let's make a real world analogy.
Is it known that he is/used to be a Star Trooper to these people?
Well,
Stormtrooper,
Sort of.
he,
What'd I say?
exactly. Poe knows, and that's about it until about halfway when he kind of makes a confession. But he pretty much disguises himself as which I love his whole like I'm kind of a big deal in the
Yeah.
Resistance, and then Han continuously calls him big
Big
deal. For
deal,
the rest
yeah.
Of the movie. And then he's like, so what was your job here? I was in sanitation.
Yeah.
Sanitation?
Yeah.
What?
Well, somebody's got to clean up. It's
We'll
a big deal.
We'll just use the Force. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also love that every time Finn tries to go save Rey, she was already capable. And
Oh yeah. She busted herself out. She's fighting. Okay. So.
But yeah,
Alright.
biggest disappointment for me, because I can get over the little on the nose, too much on the nose pull towards A New Hope, but really, I gotta say, as cool as she was, Captain Phasma is the biggest disappointment for me because she didn't do any. The only thing she really did was immediately betray the First Order after harping on Finn for being a traitor. Because she didn't even like resist trying to turn off those shields. She was just like, "All right, you got a gun to me. Then, here you go."
I'll
And she like
second
stands
that.
up and she's like, "Oh, you think it's gonna be that easy?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" She just alerted them. And then they're just like, "Nope, no, you're done.
Yeah.
Throw her in the trash compactor."
Right.
Yeah, I love that little smile you got for a trash compactor.
Yeah. And another thing with Finn, he's like super excited to get one over on Phasma. I think would have made that scene more dramatic for me is if we had seen a little bit more of how ruthless Phasma is to Finn. Or
Right.
maybe if we had an encounter with them that was a little bit more physical earlier, like that melee trooper. Maybe that should have been him versus Phasma, and then they kind of left it.
Yeah.
You
that
know,
would have been better.
I think that would have just
sense.
driven. And again,
Yeah.
in the books leading up to this, there's a lot of Phasma Finn stuff.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, yeah, I agree. Phasma was disappointing. She was really cool. I love the look of her,
and she's
I love-
guaranteed to come back. They already said she's coming back.
I love the way that the actress played her.
Mm.
Like the way she walked, the way she moved,
She's fucking huge.
the way she talked, and the way she talked.
Yeah.
Like, and her size. Like, yeah, everything just had this air of I am in charge.
And I'm sure all the Stormtrooper cosplayers
Yeah.
are now happy that they can officially add capes to their repertoire.
Yes.
So.
But
No
I will
capes.
say, to me, it was disappointing of we don't actually see her in a single battle.
She does, yeah, and she never once
Not-
shoots
not
a blaster.
once.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And for this movie, they gave her like extra kendo stick and other sort of battle training, and they just never really utilized
Right.
it. And it's like you pull in an actress like this, especially one from Game of Thrones who already has swordplay.
Who is the actress?
Gwendolyn Christie, Lady Brienne.
That was Brienne of Tarth?
Yeah,
Holy shit!
yeah.
Again, like, I couldn't
Well,
see
she never
her face,
takes off
and-
her mask.
And you're hearing it through the mask?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Lost.
Well, that explains a hell of a lot.
Oh, you don't watch Game
Well,
of
see,
Thrones, do you?
Because
I just caught up myself.
Well, you can if Rah ever gives me.
That's right. I gotta fucking
Finish
that.
season
Yeah,
one,
I gotta
damn it.
finish
So
I'll finish it before this weekend because I only have 2 episodes left. But I
Okay.
think that's indicative of the main problem that I have with this whole film.
Yeah.
Is like they're counting on moments for people to just let those things go because they are super fans that they don't utilize her.
Right, because they're gonna like
don't-
it anyway.
They're gonna like it anyway. It's like they put forth whatever without actually finishing the idea, which is my whole problem with this movie, which is why I rank it 4th, maybe even 5th.
I wouldn't rank it
So-
5th. I would definitely rank it past the OT,
Mm.
mainly because the OT is so important to me personally and to cinema. And also, that space battle in Return of the Jedi, no matter what the story structure is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is still my favorite
last-
Star Wars
that last
movie. I'll be
battle.
honest here.
And
I agree with you.
A friend of mine had an issue that there were no space battles, to which I disagree. There's one space battle in Force Awakens when Finn and Poe are escaping.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but it's so
it's
short.
a small one.
But you know what? That's okay with me because out of the 7 movies, this is the only one that really doesn't have a lot of space battles, and
Right.
we still have 2 more episodic ones and a plethora of
That and they gave
anthologies.
us. We haven't really had as much atmosphere battle. before
right,
now.
right. And I was kind of excited to see some of the atmospheric battles
Yeah.
and the way JJ shot them. It was very, very exciting compared to some of the dogfighting that they had in the past ones. Like that one shot where we're following Poe and he's taking out the TIE fighters, and the camera just kind of swings down to ground level and follows Finn.
Yeah.
You can still see Poe in the sky though. Like that is really, really cool. And that's why JJ he's a great visual.
Ties that do not immediately disintegrate upon being shot.
Yeah.
No, also help because think of the other ones. We don't really see much wreckage and debris. Like we actually saw, and some of those shots where they just hang on the TIE pilots for a sec. I mean, it's not much. It's not like you're hearing them talk. It's not like they're real characters.
Right.
But it gives you that moment of, oh shit, these aren't just faceless. These aren't like Lego toys that are being thrown against a wall here.
Right. Right.
That's right. There's some dude piloting that shit, and then you see it get shot, and whatever's left of the carcass slam into an old Star Destroyer or something.
A big contention or a big argument with me and my buddies when we saw it was, what did you guys think of Han's freighter scene with the whole tentacle creatures?
To me, that was pointless. And again, anticlimactic for introducing Han and Chewie. Because it wasn't like they did anything grand, they just sort of went on board. Now, for a reveal like that, where we're reconnecting Han with the Falcon, that's why it was dead quiet in the theater, because I think people were expecting something special to happen, but nothing did.
That's what I didn't hate it. I like that we had some sort of reveal, but I will say the reveal did feel a little flat. And I think it was just because the way it was cut, it just kind of happens very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were expecting this long dramatic reveal, and it's
Right.
just they pop in, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, my thing is, if it was Luke or Leia, and if it was Luke and his X-wing,
yeah,
I'd be right there with you. Because it's Han, Chewie, and the Millennium Falcon,
yeah.
the fact that it's not grandiose, the fact that it's not this huge thing, it's just
It doesn't have to be a huge thing, it just has to be memorable.
right. But
And
no,
it wasn't.
what I'm saying is the fact that it's not a grandiose thing, the fact that it's not this very or even elaborate. That's just a simple Chewie, we're home that. That whole thing feels very Han Solo to me.
My issue,
He doesn't fly the slickest ship in the galaxy.
Yeah.
He flies something that repeatedly has been called a piece of garbage.
right?
I had an old was it Chevy Corsica
Yeah.
that was probably in better condition than the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
My issue with that scene is they leave this backwater planet of Jakku and then immediately find Han and Chewie in their freighter.
Right.
It goes back to the JJ, plot contrivances of like, let's just get to the good stuff instead of, and JJ has a way, and he did the same thing in the Star Trek movies, where every planet felt like it was a 6-minute drive away.
Right.
And it just makes the universe feel a little small, and it shouldn't. They should have. And in the original script, they leave Jakku, they hit hyperspace, they're flying a little bit, and then they end up meeting Han and Chewie.
Which, by the way, I didn't like the fact. I will say my one quote unquote biggest gripe, which is such a small thing, but like the one thing that really stuck to me. Hyperspace looks exactly like the warp tunnel
in Star Trek.
Yeah,
it totally
it's
did.
like I don't. With all the homages to the original trilogy, why go with that for hyperspace when we've already seen hyperspace as just streaking stars?
It's just streaking stars.
Right.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit too much like JJ's. It's like those aren't the stamps you should be putting on this JJ.
Right.
Those type of like callbacks to your own stuff. Yeah, so, I mean, I think the movie totally works. It's not a great movie. It's exceptionally good, and that's all it really needed to be for me.
I'll say it's ranked at least 4th.
Yeah.
At least under the original trilogy for me now.
Yeah.
If not, maybe a little higher.
I mean, it worked enough for me. And again, these characters are hands down my favorite characters out of all the movies, and they're just that good to me. And I like that they reflect our current culture more so than a lot of sci-fi does, with the different leads and different ethnicities and a very strong female character.
Right.
One of my problems, she's a little too strong, and I think this is a good time to move into our hopes for episode 8 to wrap it up. I want Rey to have some sort of weakness, because she really kind of didn't. And as much as I absolutely love her character, and I absolutely love that final lightsaber battle, it felt like Ren was the underdog and not Rey. And I think that should have been switched for someone, a trained fallen Jedi who's so well endowed with the Force that he could stop a blaster bolt in midair.
Yeah.
Which we've never seen.
To get, let's be honest, he gets his ass kind of kicked.
Right.
Oh, he gets his ass obliterated.
Yeah, and by someone who's never picked up a lightsaber before, and who is just now discovering. Now, that's not to say she hasn't been tapping into the Force her whole life, because I'm sure she has.
But consciously doing it.
Consciously doing it,
Now,
she's instantly just super good at it. Give her some sort of something to overcome in episode 8.
That kind of goes into one of the things I hope with her is I hope that we find out, and this is my feeling on how that scene went, is that I feel like the reason why she was so good against Kylo Ren when she shouldn't have been is because she was tapping into the dark side and anger. Anger is what was doing it. Anger at losing Han. She finally had a father figure, a mentor, and Kylo killed him.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that something like that comes into play.
And that kind of ties back into her being a descendant of Luke.
Because Luke
always topped into that.
Yeah.
Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, and Luke was always that one who straddled both dark and light. I mean, he force chokes those guards and the Jedi.
Which is also, if you think about it, Vader not only has a shitload more experience, but was trained by Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda. Yeah. Plus, God knows whatever else, like miscellaneous training he got from everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, he was there for the fall of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like,
he was the fall of the Jedi.
He was the fall of the Jedi. But still, like, at no point should Luke have ever been able to best him.
Right.
And granted, he, for the most part, he didn't really until Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
But even still, he was holding his own better than he should have.
Yeah.
And, because, you know what? Luke was tapping, he was angry at losing Ben, at losing everything, at the threat of his friends being killed in Cloud City.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that as a reflection of Vader's conflicts within himself, like his focus loss. Whereas Luke was focused on saving his friends.
Okay.
So, whereas, Vader was obviously having trouble where his loyalties were going to lie, because that's constantly what Yoda says.
Yeah.
Focus.
And with lightsaber battles, small hope for future. I'm hoping that when we see a trained Rey and when we see Luke fight,
Yeah.
I want them to both be more kendo style, like the
Yeah.
original trilogy.
Yeah.
Because Luke, the original trilogy lightsaber battles were kendo battles,
Oh, totally.
and I'm hoping that that's what Luke still, because that's the way Luke used to fight, so he should still do it. And I want Rey to take up a kendo style
You know
because I want that interest. I want that clash of kendo versus Western,
Yeah.
and I think that would make for some really interesting lightsaber battles.
I wish there was a way they could have that kendo style with a double-bladed saber. Because she's so well endowed with the staff, I would love for her to start picking up a double-bladed saber, because we haven't had a hero character with a double-bladed
No.
saber in film canon. They had one in the games, but I think that would be really cool, but it's hard to do that type
Which
of
games?
style. Knights of the Old Republic.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. It's hard to do that kendo style with a double-bladed lightsaber. You're almost forced to do
The
Yeah.
Force
Unleashed.
Unleashed
Yeah.
also had one.
Yeah, you're right. They did. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that's
also a quote unquote good guy.
Oh, excuse me.
yeah, was that you?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it wasn't the guy that just got done eating Mexican.
Yeah.
Imagine
And
that.
another hope. I loved the new planets, but don't get me wrong, they were a little bit
Repetitive.
Tatooine 2.0, Yavin 2.0, Hoth 2.0. Even though
Oh,
they
see,
had
I was going with Naboo for where that bar was.
the cantina scene.
Yeah. I was going for-
Naboo, Yavin. It's a
I was hoping-
foresty green.
Yeah.
You know. So I would like brand new planets again, but something that's got not just brand new, but new visuals for us to do too.
Right.
You know, as much as I love these new planets, I
What
will,
about a planet with a purple sky?
yeah, there you
like,
go.
even
That's
just, like,
things like
little
that. Yeah,
things.
just little things like that.
Even this episode 2 had the ocean planet.
The ocean planet,
where the
yeah.
clones were being.
Well, and how about we get a planet that's the whole planet isn't just one ecosystem? It has
Yeah.
different weather patterns.
Well,
and-
the thing
That's
is
always
is
been
that
more Star Trek's thing. So.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
want what the prequels gave me, which was new civilizations, not just new planets, but
Yeah.
new intact civilizations, like the Cloners, like the Genossians.
So
Yes.
you're telling me you
So-
want new life, new civilizations.
Well,
You want to boldly go where no Star Wars fan
My-
has gone before.
My hope is that we get something totally imaginative, and
Well,
not something that just relies on fandom and aping the
I don't know, I
previous
kinda
properties.
the Planet
Well, I think
Killer.
that's where
so-
Ryan Johnson will come in.
That's what I
Ryan's got this. You've seen Looper. He's got this eye for sci-fi.
Oh yeah, I should probably watch that.
Yeah, if you're excited, because he's got this eye that just sees sci-fi a little bit differently, and it works. And I think he'll bring that to what JJ's built a great foundation. And I think Ryan Johnson can capitalize.
By the way,
on
the joke for the folks at home on that is I've been borrowing Sam's copy of Looper for what are we on, a year and a half now?
Oh yeah, it might be 2 years. It's
Almost
close to
2
it, yeah.
years because I've been meaning to watch it with Tropical Donut and keep forgetting to bring it down to her place.
Separation. Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly.
At some point, I know where it is at least.
There you go.
And
That's what
it
counts.
hasn't left its case,
That's what
so
counts.
it's still in good condition.
Right.
So yeah, I am thoroughly excited to see where Episode 8 goes, and we'll be awaiting with bated breath.
Well, I didn't get to go through my rant, so
Don't worry, I'm sure there'll be other points where those will come
I
up.
feel as though this turned into a little bit of like it was a great movie type thing, but
Okay, then we will
as
do
far
it.
as the next movie is concerned, I'm just hoping I get something better, something a
okay.
little more imaginative, something a little more original.
There you
That's
go.
what I was looking for.
Which I mean, I agree. It
Yeah.
is definitely it's like I called when I left the theater. It's Star Wars
Yeah.
for the remix generation.
Yeah.
And you know, some people that will work with, some people it won't.
Right.
And that's movie making to a T. You're not going to please everybody, but
That's true.
hopefully, the hope is that you can always course correct, especially with a franchise like this.
Right.
So yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. Sorry this one went a little bit long, but
Yeah.
Well, it's
you
not long
can
as the last
understand it's Star Wars, and
one. The last one was an hour.
there's-
And I'm sure this won't be the
55
last
minutes.
we talk about it.
Yeah, and this won't be the last we talk. I'm sure issues will pop back up, especially as we distance ourselves from
Yeah.
the movie a little bit,
Mhm.
and the hype dies down. I'm sure it will. And I've only seen it once. I really am curious to see how I react the second time, knowing
Yeah.
a little bit more. So I can't wait to see it again, and I'm sure we'll revisit it. I know Roz got some issues he still has yet to talk about,
Well,
and
I
I'm
have
more
issues
than
with
happy.
the movie.
I'm more than
Don't
happy
worry, we'll
to,
get you some
to
tissues.
revisit them. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for talking about this more.
Mhm.
So till
For
then,
now.
because Knock is like freaking out, telling us to stop.
Thank you,
I don't
everybody.
have to go through all this shit.
I know you do. That's
Thank
why
you,
it's
everybody.
hilarious.
I'm Sam.
Rah-rah.
Knock.
And Wave.
Go ahead, hit stop.